Winter is coming. Very, very slowly. Season 3, Episode 2. Dark Wings, Dark Words, and not a lot more is going on this time around than there was in the last episode. I'm probably going to have to give this one a pass because the last episode didn't have enough time to touch on all the different stories that were going on, and the bulk of this one is taken up with the stories that weren't addressed in the last one. That said, that's now 2 episodes in a row that not a lot actually happens. Things better pick up next episode, because otherwise, if this is the pace for the whole season, I'm going to start to take issue with that. Eventually, you just gotta start moving this thing forward. That's not to say that it's not moving forward at all, but it's kind of inching forward, which maybe it wouldn't bother me so much, except that there's all this talk about the open rebellion of so many kingdoms, and the Night's Watch is on the run from the White Walkers, and the Wildlings are gathering, but everybody's just kind of moving around. Nobody's fighting, nobody's even skirmishing, and I know part of it's budgetary. I mean, the show up to this point has been really, really good at giving you the feel that battles are going on without actually showing you too many, because they're really expensive to shoot. But at least in previous seasons, you got that feel that this stuff was still going on. But at least this episode spends some time with some of my favorite characters. First, we've got Arya Stark, and I just love her. I love the whole basis of her character. I like the guys that they've paired her with, this sort of a little offbeat trio, and I'm gonna be really interested to see what happens with her. I feel like she's got the most potential to go in any number of different directions. We also get to spend a bit more time with Bran, who's becoming more and more interesting to me as time goes on. And also, like Arya, it seems like there's quite a few ways he could go, and there's a little bit more sense of mystery. In some ways, with a lot of these characters, it feels like they've only got maybe 2 or 3 things that could happen to them. Bran, Arya, I could see a lot of different ways these two could play out, and that's part of what's really interesting about them. Highlight, though, has got to be Jaime Lannister and Brienne of Tarth. First of all, these two together, fantastic antagonistic chemistry. They're just great together. And it's not just the returning people that we're getting good stuff from. We've got now the introduction of the legendary Diana Rigg. And now she's really interesting. She's getting onto Sansa's good side and getting her to open up a little bit about Joffrey. I'll come back to Sansa in a minute. But she's got this thing where she's pulling the information out of her, be like, I don't know if we can trust this lady. But she's really interesting, and she's fun to watch. Now, speaking of Sansa, I'm kind of done with her as a character. I think what's driving me crazy about Sansa is that it feels like she hasn't learned or grown at all in her time. Just the fact that she opens up to Diana Rigg's character as soon as she first meets her. I mean, I understand she wants somebody to talk to, but it's just like, you just don't learn, do you? And maybe part of the problem is that I can tell she's visually aging, because the show itself is a little bit vague in terms of the time frame of how much time is passing with all of this, but to see her visibly getting older but not really seeming to mature is a little bit annoying, especially considering that Bran and Arya are noticeably maturing. Even Robb Stark and some of the other ones, they're growing, they're maturing, and she seems kind of stuck. I'm complaining a lot again. It was not a bad episode. It was a good episode, and I'm hoping that once I have the scope of the whole season, all of this stuff, I don't want to call it boring, but this slower paced stuff in the first 2 episodes will pay off very well. But right now, I'm waiting for the season to get a kick in the ass. I've talked about some of my favorite characters in the show. Who are some of your favorite characters? And it can even be ones who have been killed off already. Drop it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And until next time, Council is adjourned.